By now, some of you have probably heard that eating healthy fats help you burn fat. But how, right? Wouldn't eating more fat make you fat? Hi, this is Mimi. Today, I'm going to answer that very question so that you're not afraid to incorporate more healthy fats into your eating. And then I'm going to take a step back and answer the questions of why is fat important in the first place and what types of fat are the most beneficial. Here are 3 things to keep in mind about healthy fats to help you burn fat. First, I'm going to talk about cortisol. It's a hormone that's released when our body's under stress, and when you have excess cortisol, it encourages fat gain, especially around your stomach area. And eating healthy fats can help decrease cortisol, which would help you burn fat easier. Number 2 is about insulin and the glycemic index. So insulin is a storage hormone, and in order for fat loss to occur, you need to keep your insulin levels low. So your body cannot burn body fat when insulin is high. The glycemic index, GI, tells you how a food affects blood sugar and insulin. So the lower the glycemic index, the less effect food has on your blood sugar and insulin levels. So number 2, eating fats along with your meals helps lower the overall glycemic index, therefore reducing the spike in insulin to help fat loss occur. Number 3 is based on the fact that your fat intake should have an inverse relationship with carbs. So the more fats you eat, the less carbs you should eat, and vice versa. So if you're eating less carbs because you're eating more fats, then your overall insulin levels will decrease, which will put you in a hormonal state that favors fat loss because carbs spike insulin the most. Plus, fats help you feel fuller, which is especially important if you're on a low-calorie diet and trying to lose weight. And it can make a huge difference in helping you feel not as hungry and crave excess junk food. Why is fat important? First, fat as part of your diet is important for energy. Out of all the macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, fat is the most energy dense. It helps regulate our hormone function, the formation of our cell membranes, our brains, and our nervous system. And it also helps transport fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Now, let's get some basic terminology out of the way. The simplest unit of fat is called a fatty acid. And based on the structure, there are 2 types of fatty acids that can be formed: the saturated fatty acid and the unsaturated fatty acid. Some examples of saturated fatty acids are animal fat, the fat in eggs, dairy like milk, meat, butter, cheeses, coconut oil, and palm oil. Unsaturated fatty acids can be further broken down into monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. These are often referred to as the healthy fats. So your olive oil, your avocados, your peanuts, almonds, nut butters, flax, fish oil. A diet that's too high in saturated fatty acids and out of balance with unsaturated fats can lead to increased cholesterol levels, a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, and it's also associated with a host of other issues like Alzheimer's disease, kidney disease, breast cancer, diabetes, prostate cancer, multiple sclerosis. But do not jump to the conclusion that all saturated fats are unhealthy, because it's really about having a balance of both saturated fats and unsaturated fats that contribute to your overall health. In fact, there are some saturated fats that may actually help lower bad cholesterol, like cocoa butter, for example. And extremely important to note, pay attention, the problems that I mentioned that were associated with a high intake of saturated fats usually seem to occur in conjunction with 2 other poor dietary choices. Number 1, a diet that's also high in sugar, and number 2, a diet that's also high in processed carbs. It's for this exact reason that recommendations to avoid saturated fats are misguided. It's not just about the saturated fats, it's about having the right balance in your diet. So if you have a healthy intake of unsaturated fats and your refined carbs intake is low, then saturated fats seem to be fine. If you've watched my other videos on losing weight, losing body fat, eating cleaner, natural, unprocessed whole foods is not only ideal for losing body fat, but it's also ideal for your health. Unsaturated fats. The healthy fats have been really emphasized because of their benefits for your cholesterol, your blood vessel health, your inflammation, and even your metabolism. The most notable of these are the healthy essential fatty acids, the omega-6 and the omega-3. And it is important to also have a good balance of unsaturated fatty acids for optimal cellular health, because you can have problems if your dietary fat intake is out of whack. Experts recommend a ratio of anywhere from 1:1 to 4:1 of omega-6 to omega-3s. And the way we eat today, we tend to have an imbalance with way more omega-6 to omega-3s. So we really need to try to use less vegetable oils that are rich with omega-6 and eat more omega-3s. Fish oils and fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines, and albacore tuna are high in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fats are so important because it helps keep our cell membranes fluid. I'm going to talk about two examples. When our muscle cell membranes are more fluid, it increases insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is basically how sensitive your body is to the effects of insulin. And being insulin sensitive is a good thing because it means you require smaller amounts of insulin to lower your blood glucose levels, which is the exact opposite of someone who has low sensitivity, also called insulin resistant, because they need higher amounts of insulin to normalize their blood glucose levels, which can lead to health problems. In other words, if your body is sensitive to insulin, less insulin is produced, which also means less body fat is stored, and it's easier for you to burn fat. The second example is that omega-3s help your brain cell membranes be more fluid. And this is important because messages can then be transmitted more easily, such as serotonin, which many believe contribute to your positive mood and you feeling less stressed, which would lessen that stress hormone, cortisol, that wants to hold on to your fat. This explains my first point that I mentioned in the very beginning of the video when I said that healthy fats can help decrease cortisol to help you burn fat easier. Omega-3 fats can also help with your cardiovascular function, your nervous system function, your immune health, and it's also very well known for its anti-inflammatory effects. The most important omega-3 fatty acids are ALA, EPA, and DHA. Flax oil and walnuts are rich in ALA. Fish oil and algae are rich in EPA and DHA, which are known as the most beneficial of the omega-3 fats. In fact, research shows that low consumption of DHA is associated with memory loss, difficulty concentrating, Alzheimer's, and other mood problems. Most dietary fat is found in the form of triglycerides, which is also the major form of storage fat found in your body, and it's often a mix of both saturated and unsaturated fats. So for example, eggs is 39% saturated fat and 61% unsaturated fat. How do you know whether a food has more saturated fat or unsaturated fat? The room temperature test. If it's solid in room temperature, it's higher in saturated fats. If it's softer or in liquid form, then it's higher in unsaturated fats. Another fat that you may have heard of is trans fat, which is basically taking an unsaturated fat and bubbling hydrogen ions through it. Many companies do this to make food taste better and last longer, and it's extremely unhealthy. It packs really tight into your cell membranes. It increases your risk for heart disease, cancer, other chronic diseases, and it not only increases your bad form of cholesterol, but it also decreases your good form of cholesterol. So stay away from trans fats. But there are some naturally occurring trans fats that are good for you, such as CLA. And there are many studies that show CLA supplementation can actually help you reduce body fat. How much fats should you eat? Unfortunately, my answer is it depends on your diet and your goals. Fat being 30% of your diet can be used as an average, but it can also be as low as 15% if you're eating a high amount of carbs, or it could be as high as 60% if your carb intake is much lower. Again, your amount of fats and carbs should have an inverse relationship. Here's a good benchmark. If you take your body weight in pounds and multiply that by 0.5, that would be considered a moderate amount of fats. If you're eating lean meats, fruits and veggies, and unprocessed carbs, try adding those healthy unsaturated fats. extra virgin olive oil, nuts, avocados, and especially the omega-3s, EPA and DHA. Different global organizations recommend varying amounts of EPA, DHA, but most omega-3 experts seem to recommend 500 milligrams of EPA, DHA per day for overall health, which is also equivalent to 2 servings of fatty fish, 3.5 ounces cooked a week. Also, just a word of caution, according to the American Heart Association, anyone taking more than 3 grams of omega-3 fatty acids from capsules should only be doing it under a doctor's care. Okay, that's it for today. I know that was a lot of information, so feel free to ask me questions, leave me comments, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like these kind of videos. Please click subscribe, stay tuned, check out my other videos by clicking on these links here or explore my playlist. And feel free to follow me on Twitter at EatNotDiet or connect with me on Instagram or Facebook at Bonny. Thanks for watching.